each have in our lives defining moments. Those moments that determine the trajectory for where your future will take you. We have those moments individually and collectively as a culture. For those of us in this room, September 11th, 2001 was that moment that affected us personally and the world. On that morning, I looked into the eyes of my infant child, and I said, "You will never know the world that I have known." I was teaching theater and life skills to children in an elementary school, and that day I went into work and I conducted my lesson plans for the day. And the lesson plans were to have them pretend to be superheroes and role play. And I looked at their role play and I was angry. I was angry that there were not superheroes who could fly into the air and stop this disaster from happening. And yet, these children were so authentic in their play. They embraced the idea of being superheroes wholeheartedly. And I thought, the world has changed. There's no way that I or anyone else can anticipate the world that you will face, the challenges that you will face either globally or in your own life, because now it seemed nothing was certain any longer. I looked at these children and I thought, you will have to be the hero of your own life. Of course, in the days and the weeks to follow, we learned stories of heroes that sacrificed themselves on 9/11. But I began thinking, what can we do to help prepare our children for an uncertain world? Not just globally and facing threats of terrorism, but in their own lives. And since that day, we've seen the challenges that individuals are forced to face. From a changing economic situation, job market, greater challenges in getting to college and being able to pay for it, the increased cost of housing, the complexity in relationship, and all of the opportunities and the challenges that have come with the changing world of technology. The world that our children will face is different than we have ever known. I thought back to my earliest teacher, my mother, Betty Britton. She was teaching in a school. When I was young, she was a counselor actually, and she was working with children who had desperate situations in their lives. And one day she came home and she said, I cannot control their circumstances. I have no say over what happens to them. But by God, I can give them the tools to make sure they can thrive, regardless of what life throws at them. And on 9/11, I knew I had to be part of the solution. And so, watching these children play superheroes, I stepped into the role of training superheroes. Dr. Britton and I started working on a program entitled Heroes, Leaders, Champions. Because heroes solve problems, it's just that simple. Leaders guide and inspire others, and champions overcome obstacles. Starting in 2003, we began delivering programs during school days, after school hours, summer camps, and in other program arenas. We went into school communities and trained everyone, the parents, the teachers, the counselors, and the students. On 2 occasions, we went into schools where every member of the school community was trained in a series of tools, vocabulary, and resources to help children engage a system of problem solving that was strategic, because we could no longer just hope children could figure it out on their own. We trained families, giving them tools that they could use to bring their families closer together. And we worked to transform the discipline model that the schools had to offer, so that discipline was no longer about just managing behavior. Now, every behavioral issue was an opportunity for skills development. You see here on the left a power station. In one school, every room in the school had a power station. Instead of a timeout area, it was a place where children could go to strategically work through the problem. And then when they come back into the school community, they're embraced by their peers as heroes, leaders, and champions, working towards solving a problem instead of being isolated and coming back into the school community feeling more isolated. We changed the problem response from a reactive to a proactive system that was play-based, where children can take charge. And today, I am presenting to you for the first time the fruits of our labor. Because for the last 13 years, we've been working on packaging the system so that anyone can deliver it. And in the coming weeks, we will be releasing 15 books that are part of the Heroes, Leaders, Champions system. The first section of books comes under the heading of identity shaping, helping children to create the person they want to become. Again, we can no longer hope that they will be able to figure it out and allow them to stumble through by accident. We have to give them the tools to create the person they would want to become. And we use many of the same tools and techniques that an actor uses to create a role for the stage. Next is a category of tools to create emotional intelligence, giving children the resources to take the energy of their emotions and channel that so it pushes them forward instead of having emotions hold them back. Next are books in the category of skills development, giving them very systematic techniques in problem solving. We tell children to go figure it out, but this gives them a very clear system for doing so. Then, team training. Every effective team in the world has systems and resources and training opportunities to bring the team together to work more effectively. Classrooms have the opportunity to do this. Families have the opportunity to do this. And we'll be providing books to help them along the way. And finally, are books to help students put these tools into action. And we'll also offer the opportunity for students to write their own stories and how they use the tools. And finally, in this series that we'll be launching in the coming weeks is a chapter book that shows the journey of a child who is learning to become a hero, with all of the challenges and all of the opportunities that it brings. Why do I do the things that I do? Because the world needs heroes. The world needs heroes now more than ever. We all want our children to be strong, healthy, happy, and successful. And the least that we can do is to give them the tools they need to survive and thrive in an uncertain world.